They say it takes a village to raise a child. It also takes a village to produce a book. And there are a few people I would like to acknowledge who have helped me along the way. The first one is Les Standiford. He's a best-selling author and director of the creative writing program at Florida International University. Les helped me with character development, and I swear, every time I talked to him, I just felt so stupid and so dumb. I just wanted to give up, but I would go back and rework it and rework it. The second person is here tonight, Cece Wahisi. Cece, stand up. Cece is one of my longtime friends, and we were colleagues when I taught journalism at the University of Miami, and she still teaches there in the School of Communication. The next two people are best-selling authors who founded Brown Girl Publishing. They are Victoria Christopher Murray, who edited my manuscript, and Rashonda Tate Billingsley, who oversaw production. And last and most importantly, my husband. He's my think tank, my biggest cheerleader, and my greatest tormentor. And let me explain why.
Yeah, you gotta get into all that.
Yeah. Before he would go out the door to play tennis, what are you doing with the book today? When he went in his office to play with his music, you need to do X, Y, and Z. When he went stepping, have you done this, that, and the other? And he would even call me when he was at work at night. I'm trying to chill and watch TV, and the phone rings, and his name flashes across the TV. I'm like, oh God, not him again. And he would say, hey, what'd you do with the book today? So you see, I had to finish this book to get him off my back, and I can go out to play. But seriously, he's been my biggest supporter, and I wouldn't have been able to do this without him. So I'm going to give him back the microphone now.
Jill Maddox-Berry, everybody. You know, it's funny. My wife and Don Shula, the legendary former coach of the Miami Dolphins, share the same birthday. And I remember when Shula met Cheryl, and then she walked away, and Shula looked at me. He said, man, you outkicked your coverage. I said, I know. But seriously, we thank you so much for your support, and we're very excited about this project. We, again, want to thank Books and Books for being here for us, because, wow, we couldn't have done this kind of turnout without you, so thank you so much. And we're going to now have a quick Q&A before we go to the other side for the reception. So if anybody has any questions for the author, fire away. Yes, of course, Joel got a question.
No, I just wondered, is it going to be in audible form as well?
You know, a couple of people.
Oh. All right. Here, you too.
A couple of people have asked me about that, and it's certainly something I'm looking into. Because I know a lot of people like to listen to audiobooks as they're driving to work and they're stuck in traffic. So definitely I'm looking into it. Oh, what's the next question? I read it. She read the book.
Were the characters based upon people who you know or positive people?
No, it definitely wasn't me. The characters are a composite of people I've known, people I've met, people I've talked to in the airport who sit down and start having conversations with me. But a lot of the neighborhoods that I describe in the book are places that I lived or my friends lived. And there really was a lady named Miss Lulu who lived in my neighborhood who had greeting cards in every room except the kitchen.
Okay.
So, Myra, you can stand up. And you have a loud voice.
She took my question, Linda.
I read your mind.
Okay. The book, will it have a cliffhanger, or does it set up for a sequel, or it's gonna end? Like the beginning, and then you'll find out everything about all of the characters at the end. I know, I gotta read the book.
You have to read the book. Right, right?
But not the stuff in the middle, I didn't give up the stuff in the middle.
Read the book, Myra. Spoil it for the people.
Marla.
Was there a Cyrus in your life, number one? And number two, did the strike affect you as you were growing up, or are you way too young to even have been?
Oh, Marla, I was way too young to no, there was no Cyrus in my life. When Dr. King came to Memphis, I was in junior high school. And that had to be the most significant historical event in my life. Now, I was not allowed to go to any of the rallies because my mother was a nurse at the time, and she thought that bad things were going to happen. In fact, she didn't even let me go out on Saturday night because she thought bad things were going to happen. So I was glued to the TV to find out what was going on. I read the newspaper. I was a voracious reader as a kid to find out what was going on. And there were kids in my school whose fathers were sanitation workers. And we collected food, and we had a prayer for the family in the mornings. This is when prayer was in the schools. So it was a very pivotal event in my life. And since then, I have seen videos and the movie At the River I Stand, and that filled in a lot of holes for me about what was going on when my mother wouldn't let me out the house.
Did you think about making a movie out of it, speaking about movies?
I would love to see this as a movie. Do you have any connection?
Contact me.
In the back, sure, to the right. Juanita.
Cheryl, I'd like to know what inspired you to write, and then what inspired you to write this particular book.
I've always been a writer. Even as a kid, when we had to do book reports, the teacher would say 3 pages. My book report would be like 6 pages. I'd have pictures. I'd have diagrams. It was like, this is an A+, you know. And I'm also a former journalist, print and broadcasting. So writing has always been part of my life. And I guess one day I had all these things going on in my head, snapshots from different things, and I couldn't figure out, what are they doing up there? They need to come out some kind of way. And one cold, snowy night in Chicago, I know they're all cold and snowy and windy, but this one particular cold, snowy night, I sat down with my new laptop that he gave me for Christmas and started to put together some things, just things that interested me, things that I found peculiar when I was growing up, stories, and it just kind of evolved from there. Those first 2 pages are not very pretty now that I go back and look at them, but they were a start.
Do you have a second book?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I am working on the 3rd book. The 2nd book is Capital Sins, and it will be out in 2019. I'm on a roll.
What is it about?
The title of the book is Capital Sins. 2 women who were friends. One is a high-powered attorney in D.C., and the other is a savvy newswoman. And they take a vacation abroad. And they meet this very handsome, rich guy. He's African, not African-American. Anyway, he follows them back to the States, and they get involved into a series of events that tell them who he really is. He's not who he pretends to be.
I wanted to do bodily harm, Miss Esther.
She couldn't help herself.
No, well, I guess that's what I wanted to know. How do you reconcile or what goes on? What kind of thinking goes on that she could be so loving towards her son and so hateful towards his wife?
Because she hated herself. She hated the things that happened to her. and she took it out on Nadine. That's what happened there.
Now that you've made your debut and you're on a roll, what advice would you give to aspiring writers?
You have to be disciplined. You can't let people who come by your office peeping in, trying to distract you. Seriously, you have to set aside some time to write every day. And you have to understand that when you're done, you're really not done. You have to go back and you have to add layers and layers. And then you still may have to rewrite. But discipline is the key.
What time during the day did you write?
I'm a morning person. So I like to get up early in the morning and do what I have to do. And like I said, I would go in my office, or I would go to the Miami Shores Library, which looks a lot like this room, really. It's a quaint little library, and it's very quiet until those kids come there around 2:45. And then I'm like, they have destroyed my peace and quiet, so I gotta go home now. But you know, a lot of times places that are just tranquil and just have beautiful scenery, someplace where you can just be alone with your crazy thoughts. They were crazy sometimes.
So Sharon, what is your actual process that you kind of live by to put these wonderful stories together? What's your process?
I have a general idea of what I want the story to be and the characters. And I start with the characters and I flush them out. You know, who is this person? What's their background? What's their beef? What do they want? What conflicts are in their life? And I do that for each of the major characters. And then I weave them into this loosely based outline that I have. Now, of course, that changes sometimes because you think you have something and then you wake up the next day and say, that doesn't work. So I go back to the drawing board. But it's an outline of the story and the characters.
David?
Mm-hmm.
David?
I know a lot of creative people, and they're always trying to make something better and make it better and go back and make it better. How do you know when you're done?
Oh my God. How did I know when it was done?
I told you. It's good, man. That was easy. That's it.
And now can I go out to play?
Yeah.
You know when it's done. And you know when it's not done. When there are nagging questions, when you feel that I really didn't explain that right. I need to fix that. I need to, you know, you read it, hard copy, you print it out, you read it, and you're like, wow, that doesn't look so good on paper. It looks good on the monitor, but I need to fix that. So you go and go and go until you don't have any more questions that you think the reader might want to know the answer to.
How and why did you come up with the title Memphis Blues?
This is from my think tank over here. Initially, I wanted it to be called Butterfly Should Be Free, and there's a scene in the book, and I thought, oh wow, this plays perfectly off the scene. And he said, that title is too long, nobody's gonna remember that. And I'm like, what do you know? You know sports, you don't know anything about titles.
Welcome to my world.
But it's short and it's catchy, so I have to give him the credit for coming up with the title.
Any other questions?
You've been a great audience. Thank you.